I know it's something he's talked about as other things where like conservatives typically score low on openness,
Yeah.
and higher, and liberals typically score much higher on openness
And creativity.
yeah, which is also kind of interesting. So I think it's still too difficult to define even this. And I think I've known people who at least do a very good job of seeming like they don't have shame or maybe not shame would be the right word, or I've met plenty of people that don't seem to have contempt for themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just because they've learned to either cover it up really well or.
Well, it's not that you have to abolish self-content, because self-content is just being critical of yourself too far, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can become critical of yourself to create excellence, or you can be critical of yourself, which becomes self-content and self-hatred to destroy yourself, right? There's a difference between the two.
Well, yeah, you can take something too far, certainly. And so,
Yeah.
like, well, and then, like, you know, said, I think I had a Bible teacher that once said, it's like any strength is, or any weakness is just a strength taken too far. You know, like whether you become a perfectionist is not a better state than somebody who, you know, strives hard but settles for the, you know, right for that situation, or somebody who's, you know, conscientious goes from being conscientious to, I don't know, self-righteousness to a point of violence or anger over the littlest thing, which I can think that's something you can see a lot of parallels today in our world abroad.
Yeah. Self-righteousness, right? When you think you're self-righteous, you can get violent real quick.
Well, yeah, because you're justified whatever you do at that point, right?
Yeah, you're righteous, right? Well, and I always think, especially a case, I was thinking about a case that I had a while ago. This couple, they hated themselves so much and acted like they loved each other so much, so they were martyrs for each other, but it was such a messed up relationship.
Would you say that they loved, like, did they hate themselves, so each person hated themselves to a certain point, or did they actually hate the idea of being together as a couple?
So these were two self-loathing people. They really saw everything bad within themselves, and they split and said everything good is within my spouse, right? They couldn't raise their children correctly. They fought about that. They couldn't get their careers on point because they both thought that they were awful, but they're very nice people. It wasn't like they were necessarily evil people. They weren't doing anything bad. They weren't breaking any laws, right? They beat themselves up all the time. And also there was some gain in when one beat themselves up, the other one was there to care for them. So there was a lot of pleasure within that too. And it's like that's a little bit more common than I thought before I started working. Well, what did I know before I was working? I was a teenager or very early 20s.
You were a student.
I was a student, you know, so working opens your eyes up, of course. But I see people who, so you could say these two people aren't treating themselves like they are someone they're responsible for, right? If you're really just beating yourself up all the time, you can't have a good relationship. I mean, there's this self-hatred. I mean, you know, that puts you at risk from financial ruin to suicide, self-hatred. So this couple didn't get better because they didn't value themselves to do any kind of work. This is one of the things. Why put into work if they don't matter, right?
Yeah, which actually would be like the perfect example of the situation to apply, say, Rule 2 here, where it's like, if they treated themselves like they treated their spouse, or like, then they would solve the problem.
Yeah.
Which that part is something I did. The idea of like separating it out, where it's like to not think of myself as me, but somebody I'm responsible for caring, does kind of frame it in a way where it makes it easier to think about what the right decision is.
Yeah.
You know, the right answer is to go to the gym and, you know, eat better, and the boring stuff too, but also the obvious ones like, you know, taking medicine and whatnot. But also the simpler things where it's like stand up for yourself, or don't when not to let something go, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think that's something that was pretty impactful. Although one thing I did struggle throughout the entire chapter, and I don't know if